you're going to get knocked down hundreds of times, not tens of times. You're going to feel like, gosh, how's this going to happen? Are we ever going to get this done? Just keep going. That's going to be probably the number one advice.
Hello, everyone. We are here today with Kyle Allison, an amazing entrepreneur, owner, and operator of 2 different locations in Oklahoma, Andy's Alligator and the brand new center, very new, very modern looking, and very successful Andy's Altitude 1291. Hi, Kyle, and thank you for joining us today. We are going to be speaking about the do's and the don'ts when opening an FEC. And as an icebreaker, I'd like us to start with a powerful question. It's about success or failure. Kyle, what would you say that is the most common reason for people failing or giving up in our industry?
I would start with success. Success is putting, your heart and soul behind your project, putting a lot of effort, a lot of research. Some of the best parks out there are ones that are ran by families, by the operators. On the flip side, I would see some of the parks that I go into that I wouldn't necessarily be proud of or don't necessarily know if they're failing or not, but are ones that they just don't have that personal touch. They don't have someone that is really proud of that location who built it from the ground up, more of the cookie cutter style locations. So really, when you put your heart and soul into your project, I see a lot of success.
I understand. Thank you. And I actually wanted to start with something powerful, but now I feel like it's important to follow the proper stages. And can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and about your newest location?
Sure. So I have been in the industry now for probably about 10 years. As far as the family entertainment industry, about 10 years. My family has been in hospitality or kind of entertainment type industry since I was a young kid. So over 35 years. So when I graduated college, I came back. My parents had just opened up a facility, helped run that facility for a while, got it up and going, worked there. And then a few years ago, we started planning our newest facility, Altitude 1291. It's about 30 minutes from our original facility. And so worked on that project and then got it open last year in early November.
I see. How long was like this planning stage since you had the idea for Altitude and up to the opening day? How many years was it?
I would say probably about 3 to 4 years. I mean, we started thinking, hey, what's the next project? What are we going to do next? One thing I've learned through all of our projects, whether it's an expansion or a new facility, is that it just takes a lot of time to get stuff done. There's a lot of planning, especially on the scale of what we're doing with the new facility. It just takes a lot of time. And so we started looking at a few different locations, different areas of Oklahoma City where we're going to build. And then ultimately we focused on Midwest City. We have a partnership with the city as far as they helped recruit us to there. And so they helped us win some incentives. So that also lengthened the process a little bit as well, because we're working through the city's efforts to get some incentives. We did have to go through the city council type procedures and approvals that might be a little quicker if you were just picking a location and building on it.
Given that you already had the experience of running and managing the first location, Andy's Alligator, did you encounter anything completely unexpected when opening the second location?
Yeah, because really our second location is it's still a family entertainment center, but it's almost a complete different concept. Everything down from how the building was built to the attractions that are inside of it are almost all completely different. And so we encountered lots of challenges and lots of unknowns that we were not necessarily didn't know about, because we never had bowling. We've never had VR. We have never had a full service restaurant. I'd had a bar at our water park, but it wasn't really a full service bar. It was the tiki bar that everyone drank frozen drinks and cold beer. So having a full bar was different. So basically we have a restaurant within our facility. And so being a true restaurant owner was also a challenge as well, because we've always had kind of quick service dining. So we learned a lot, but we being connected through the industry organization, specifically IAPA, I was able to reach out to my peers and say, hey, what do you do for this? How do you do this? What's going to go bad? What's bad about this part? So that was good to be able to do that research.
You've been working in this industry for more than a decade, opening, managing 2 different locations, plus a lot of involvement in IAPA. And for the people that are looking at us now and are probably thinking that they want to start an FEC as well, is there something like a secret recipe to have when planning to open a location, an FEC?
Probably going back to my opening comment, I think the secret sauce is passion. Passion, drive, determination. You're going to hit a lot of roadblocks. Get connected early whenever you decide that you think that you want to get in this crazy industry. Go to the conferences, go to the, IAPA does a great program called Rookies and Newcomers, which is a new kind of startup type 3-day seminar every year. So, go to those things and make sure you really want to do it. And then once you've decided to, throw yourself into our crazy industry, then just get connected and stay focused. You'll get a lot of no's. I mean, even on our latest project, it's amazing how many banks I went to that would not finance it, that said no. I got no after no after no. I was literally driving bank to bank, making presentations, trying to get funded. And it was discouraging, but I knew going into it that I was going to get no's, that it wasn't just going to be me walking in and they were going to, hand me $6 million right away. Like I knew it was going to take some determination and drive. And so I had that passion in me that I think that everyone needs to have. Otherwise it'll be easy to feel like you're failing when you really aren't. That's just part of the game, is getting, working hard to get the money and get it started.
What were for you, for example, the most challenging steps when you opened the location?
I would say the most challenging part for me comes down to the construction process, trying to manage those guys and get things moving. If you're not hands-on, then your construction process can take, instead of a year, can take 2 years, can take 2.5 years. And so I was constantly there on site, driving our contractors and our subcontractors to keep moving, letting them know how important it was for us to get open. Because every month that you're not open, that you're paying that construction loan, is just money that's not going to your bottom line. And so that was tough. And then at the end, not really knowing, okay, the contractors say it's going to take a month left. We have a month left. We really think there's 2 months left. Are we ready to start hiring? Are we ready to start marketing? And so really figuring out that timeline towards the end. Or, oh, hey, let's go ahead and start hiring because we think we're going to open up in a month. But then it starts raining for the next 2 weeks and it puts stuff behind. So kind of juggling those timelines at the very end of a construction project, to me, is one of the most challenging things of getting a project open, is just that those last 2 months of trying to get things completed. So
it has quite a few attractions. And what I want to ask is, how did you choose that specific mix of attractions for the center?
Yeah, so it was tough. So one thing we didn't want to be is we didn't want to be that cookie cutter FEC bowling concept that we see popping up everywhere. That's bowling, laser tag, arcade, restaurant, bar. But then again, that also is what's being successful around the country right now. So we said, how can we take that concept and put kind of our unique spin on it? And so that's when we looked at some of our past experience, like for instance, bumper cars. We put bumper cars in. There's not a lot of bowling-based FECs that have bumper cars, but we know from our previous experience that they're very profitable. They seem to work well for us. Kids love them. Families love them. It's a great activity to do together. So we added those in. We did try to be strategic, like in our laser tag. How can we make it different than all the other laser tags in town? Then it came down to technology. We really kind of want to have this cutting edge, modern facility. So we spent a lot on AV. So we have these giant video screens above the bowling. We also we said, okay, well, how can we tie in, virtual reality? And so we have the virtual reality system. We also have a augmented reality climbing wall. So we tried to think of ways, what do people that in our market, what's not in our market, what can we put that's new and make us unique? And so that's some of the things we did to try to get that unique vibe going within our facility.
Thank you. I'm thinking about the people that don't have the past experiences that you had, for example, with the first center with alligators. Is there a model or any kind of guidance that they should look at or work based on when choosing their attraction mix? You were mentioning how important it is to have unique attractions. Is this like a main aspect to look at when opening and choosing the attraction mix?
I mean, I think so. I think, first of all, you should be, if you're even thinking about opening, you should have visited every place in your market, plus every place in the closest drive markets close to you. I don't even know how many FECs I've been to, but I constantly, when I'm traveling, sometimes my wife gives me a hard time because even if just her and I without our kids, I stop and we have to go inside the FEC. We have a joke that I'm that creepy old man that even when I'm by myself, I still walk through the FECs and are looking at stuff. And when I'm traveling, I constantly am looking to see what people are doing. And so the thing that I would suggest is that, the uniqueness, I think, is what brings in guests. Now, we know guests love arcade. They love bowling. They love the staples. Maybe you consider laser tag is now a staple. It wasn't back when we opened up our previous location. Laser tag was not popular, as popular, probably in the early 2000s as it is now. I think as things have become staple attractions, you're seeing them. But what can you do that's unique? What do you have that someone says, okay, I'm going to come to that facility because they have item A, attraction A, but I can't do it anywhere else. Mm-hmm. And so we try to do that. And we also do that not just with attractions, we do that with food. What is unique about this place that I want to go eat at their bowling center that I can't get that somewhere else, or the other bowling centers have snack bars, but this place has full service food. So that's some of the things that we think about, and I think others should too.
What made you decide on opening a new location with bowling specific?
Sure. So we were looking for, that attraction that brings families together. Bowling is a family activity. Bowling, I like to say, is not really a sport anymore. A lot of people think of bowling as a sport, and it still is a sport, but people don't come to our place to play as a sport. They come to our place to enjoy bowling together. It also keeps people with bowling. You have it, you're at your lane for an hour, so that gives you time to buy more drinks, buy food. So it creates that, well, why would we want to go somewhere else to eat when we could just eat here while we're bowling? It also, we only have 12 lanes, because even though bowling is kind of our main attraction, we did not want to spend all of our square footage on bowling. So we only have 12 lanes. So we often go into a wait list. Pre-COVID, I would say, we would go into a wait list on busy nights. And so we have other things for people to do. They can play in the arcade, they can do the laser tag, they can do VR while they're waiting for their lane. And so it all kind of works together to where, I see a traditional bowling center, people get there and there's a wait and they decide, let's just go somewhere else. Or what are we going to do? So, but when we have other stuff for them to do, they're going to stick it out and wait. And I think that's an important component.
What was the initial target group that you had in mind, and how did you decide on this specific group as the audience for Altitude?
Sure. So we were kind of going after an older demographic compared to our current facility. So we were wanting to go after more of the adults, and then also being in an Air Force base area, hence why our facility is themed kind of Air Force and military, I wouldn't say military, like it's not camo. You've seen it. It's more of a modern, sleek, silver blues Air Force. So we knew that we'd also have that crowd. I mean, that's a huge base. It is probably, if it's not the largest, second largest Air Force base in the U.S. And so there's a lot of, younger men and women who are serving our country there. And they're there by probably a lot of them without families yet. So we draw that crowd. And then we also draw the family crowd. I mean, there's also a lot of families on base as well, and then families in our community. And so we look to design a facility that would invite a lot of the parents and the young adults. And in turn, we know the kids are going to have a good time. We know the kids are going to come in, they're going to see the attractions, and they're going to, love their experience. So it was about creating a environment that targets adults with families.
What are the marketing strategies that you guys are using to promote your centers right now, and how are they working for you?
So the marketing is a very interesting animal right now with COVID. It's very tough. One of the things that we do really well is we do really well at getting out in the community, going to events. It's usually not very expensive, because you're usually volunteering your time or you're donating something and you're getting to have a booth and you're reaching all these people and talking to them, telling them about your facility. We kind of have a street team that does that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Well, that's not happening right now. I mean, everything is all the community events are being canceled. All of the, everything community related events are being canceled. So it's made us kind of have to pivot to what are we going to do now? Well, I'm not a huge fan of just using traditional media like your radio and TV and stuff like that. So, but that's some of the only stuff that's available. We can't go to events. We can't sponsor events. We can't, it's made it difficult. So we do a lot of social media. I think like everyone says, a lot of people are out on social media. So we do a lot of that. We do some radio and we do also some digital billboards in the area. We actually just stopped doing the digital billboards. We did those kind of as a reopening. We did them during our opening phase and they were very successful for us and to let people know that we were open. And then we did them once we reopened post-COVID to say, hey, we're back open. Here's what we have. Come out and see us. And then we recently, because obviously budgets are tight right now, we pulled the money away from billboards in order to be able to start doing some radio to kind of reach further outside of just our immediate area. So we're doing what we can with still being careful with the dollars.
What kind of marketing strategies are you implementing to have more repeat visits from the existing customers?
Well, we see emails are very very effective to show people what specials you have coming up, what's new. We also we do a lot of daily specials, especially we were kind of moving away from a daily specials to now with post-COVID, we've kind of brought them back, showing people, hey, come out on Wednesdays. We have, Wednesdays, I think is all day happy hours. We do that on Wednesday. Tuesday, we do a discounted wristband for all attractions. So that's been popular. When we reach out to our current customers, we show them, the e-blast, for instance, this Saturday is National Bowling Day. And so we're doing free bowling. I think it's from 1 to 4 p.m. Well, that's during kind of a dead time for us, especially right now during the day at the bowling center is not very busy because we're not doing a lot of birthday parties and a lot of groups. Our busy times at night. And so we're doing that. So we sent out an email to everyone yesterday showing we have that special. For instance, VR, when you guys had a new game come out, we put that in the email saying, hey, we have a new VR game. So hopefully those who enjoy the VR then see it and want to come back. And so we do that kind of stuff. We'll tease new stuff, new drinks. Like for July 4th, in July, we did a bomb pop drink, which was a pina colada with a bomb pop popsicle on top. So took a picture of that, put that out there. So basically anything we can do to get people excited about coming back with a unique promotion or twist.
Is it better to focus a lot on new customers or to focus more on repeat visits from the existing customers? Which one might be more important than the other?
Well, I think it's something I've learned is that it's cheaper to target your existing customers and keep them happy and bring them back. But we can't be growing and hitting our revenue goals if we're not getting new customers as well. So it's that delicate balance of really focusing on both. But in my opinion, it's definitely less expensive to take care of your current guests and reach them. Once you have their email address, it's almost free to keep at getting content to them. But getting that email address in the beginning or getting that person in your store in the beginning is the most expensive. Once they have a good experience and once they have a great time, they're going to come back. But until they get there, it's getting them in the building is the hardest thing. I always tell people in our group sales department, once you get them to the facility and show them the experience we have, show them what we have, take care of them, they're going to want to have their event with us. But that's the hardest thing is getting them there. And it's the same way with me. I mean, it's the same, when I go buy something, for the last few weeks, I've needed something. It's like, I need that, I need that, I need that. Once I go to the store and I'm in front of it, yeah, I buy it and I'm there and I'm happy and I get it and go home. But until I get out and to do it, that's the hardest challenge. And so, and it's expensive. We know that radio and billboards are very expensive. And so it is a delicate balance.
Okay. Now, I was doing my research and I saw that you guys have many amazing reviews. And I kind of wanted to see what is your approach for reviews on social media and how are you guys managing the bad reviews?
Yeah. Well, so social media is can be good and bad, like you just said. You can get some really bad reviews, and one thing that I've learned is I don't take it hard. And when someone writes a bad review, I mean, I've been in customer service long enough that I've probably been called every bad name in the book, but you know, you can't take it personal. And I know that's tough for a lot of people. Like my wife, for instance, she takes it personal when she sees a bad review about her facility. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe they would say that. And, you know, to me, I'm just like, that's just part of the deal, part of the game. But, you know, we celebrate the good reviews. If we get a good review, we print it out, we post it, you know, on the bulletin boards that are in the back, in the kitchen and in the break room. You know, we recognize that staff that they have a good review. We genuinely, we have a really good team that really takes care of the guest, and they know as long as you take care of the guest, they're going to come back. And it's that thing we just talked about with once you get them in the building, they have a good time, they're going to keep coming back. And so, yeah, every once in a while, you're going to have a few bad apples. You're going to have some employees that just don't put your brand out in a good light. And so, you know, we work with them to let them know that, hey, if a customer's having a bad experience, do what you can to make it right. You know, the customer, you know, the whole saying of the customer is always right. You know, and I always say, well, the customer's always right, except when they're wrong. That is that saying, but we want to make sure they're having a good experience. And even though if they have a bad experience, what can we do to make it better? We can't give away the farm. We can't give away everything, but we can do what we can. But we know you're not always going to win every customer. You're just not going to. And so you're going to get those negative reviews, and we just try to respond to them. And not be pointed and not be attacking about it, but say, hey, sorry that happened. You know, here's how we can make it better. Come and see us again. And so just taking the time to respond to those negative reviews, I think is important as well.
Indeed it is. So we have Andy's Altitudes, a very modern looking location, and Andy's Alligator, which is more like a classic vibe center. From your point of view, what will be the trend in the future, the consumer trends? Are people going to want to go more to modern vibe FECs, or are they going to search for something classic that has that old school vibe on it?
Man, if you would ask me this 2 months ago, it'd be way different than my answer now, and my answer could be different after COVID. I think COVID has changed everything, and I don't know. I mean, we literally 2 weeks ago, we had our record Monday since we had reopened, and then on Tuesday, we had our worst Tuesday since we had reopened. So there is no pattern right now for anything that's happening due to COVID. There's no pattern. And so for me to look out and say what I think is going to happen, I thought that kind of more people were moving more towards that modern indoor food and fun type environment. But then with COVID, you're seeing a lot of people who want to be outside because it's, some people are saying it's safer if you're outside. So you're seeing some of the outdoor facilities do better. But then also you're reading in the news that amusement parks are having a tough time because people just aren't getting out. And so I don't think it's really about right now what parks are going to do better. It's about getting people out of their house. As an industry, we need to encourage people to get out and go enjoy the things that we offer, whether that be indoor or outdoor. That's what I see our biggest challenge is right now, is just getting people out of their house and into our facilities, no matter what kind of facility it is.
Speaking of the entire lockdown, the entire pandemic, and let's have an imagination game and go back a few months ago. When did you realize that the entire pandemic is going to have a huge impact on your business, and what were the decisions that you took at that time?
So I were actually just having this conversation the other day with someone. I did not realize, which I don't think any of us did, the extent of the impact it would have. I remember when we got the orders from our city to shut down, we literally said, okay, let's shut things down. Everyone, we're going to put things away. I think we'll be closed for about a week or two, and then we'll be back working. That's literally what I told our staff. Like, guys, we're going to probably, I'm projecting to be closed 2 weeks. And then a month and a half later, we have a facility that opened, and we have another facility that, our water park was not able to open this summer. So we have some challenges, and that was a tough, and then transitioning to your next question of what did we do? We immediately took as soon as we noticed things were going to get pushed out, we started doing what we could do. We started, turning off any services we could to save money. We started contacting vendors and saying, here's, please stop sending this, or we need help on this. We were very transparent with our employees and with our vendors and with our customers. The customers kind of knew that everything was closed, so they weren't really asking much, but our vendors and our employees were. And so we were transparent and said, hey, employees, we're going to get you back as soon as we can, or here's what we're going to do as far as assistance. Here's how we're going to help you get unemployment if you need it. Here's how we're going to, and then with our vendors, here's what we can pay you, here's what we can't pay you, and here's when we project we can pay you. And so that's what we did. And we're still being trained. And with the bank, I literally had this morning, I was on the phone call with the bank, working with them on, different parts of how we're going to pay things. So that's, I think, just being transparent and open and working with everyone is the best thing you can do in this situation.
One of the biggest challenges that our industry faced during the pandemic and the entire lockdown was to maintain a positive view from our customers, from our audience, while also keeping them engaged and keeping that interest alive. How did you approach this aspect of the entire events in the last couple of weeks?
Right. So when we went kind of into lockdown and closed things, one of the things that we did is we had at that point, we're still kind of in our ramp up phase. We're still opening. So we had not really done any grassroots marketing yet as far as videos and stuff on Facebook. And so we took kind of this idea of, hey, we want to introduce to our Facebook audience that we are real people that own this place. We are locals. We're not a national chain. And so we did a lot of Facebook videos. We did some contests, which ended up proving to be very successful. We did an Easter, I don't know if you've seen on our Facebook, we did an Easter egg contest where of course, Easter was canceled for everyone, which is, as a kid, I couldn't believe what would happen to be Easter being canceled. But we picked a few winners, and we went out into their house and we went to their front yard and put eggs in their front yard for them and left them Easter baskets on their front porch. And so we looked at ways that how can we show that we still want to be a viable member of this community, and we want to have fun, and then show people that Altitude 1291 is a locally owned and operated company, and we care about our community. So that's the kind of thing we took. We did some behind the scenes videos too. We showed videos of our kitchen, showed videos from the roof, showed videos behind the bowling lanes. So we kind of did some of that content to keep people engaged and learning more about what we were.
While I was preparing for our chat, I did my share of research, and I saw an older interview with you. It was close to the moments when you reopened Altitude. And I just loved the way you emphasized on the fact that we as an industry right now have to work together to get out of this entire crisis that we still are in. And one of the coolest aspects that you mentioned was that right now it's extremely important for us to share info from our experience since reopening, to share the good things, the things that have worked, but also share those things that didn't work. And my question for you is, what were the things that didn't work out for you since reopening?
Sure. And I still truly believe in that. We are all still in challenging times, and I think helping each other out is what's going to put this industry over the top and make it through it. Yeah. Some of the things that didn't work for us were, we were some of the first people to get to reopen in Oklahoma. With that being said, we were kind of going to uncharted waters. There weren't a lot of people who had opened yet, and so since the opening weekend, we did probably a quarter of what we thought we were going to do. We had low expectations. And so things that didn't work for us is that we didn't have the right staffing plans in place. We had too much staff, and then, I would say one of the things that didn't work for us was thinking that it was going to be normal again. I think no one thought how long it would take to ramp business back up, even though we're still doing it. We're still ramping back up. We have friends in the industry who are still not open. And so I think that's something that no one knew. No one knew that, the gravity of it. What else didn't work? I think, we had to do some of the cleaning procedures and how, we thought people were going to react to it was very different. We had some people who, we like, for instance, in the arcade, like it's one of the most high touch points areas in our building, but we don't have anybody say anything about the cleanliness of the arcade. Now we have sanitation stations, we have people out there cleaning, and we're doing all of it, but we don't get any complaints about that. And maybe that's because we are actively cleaning it, but I thought there'd be more. I thought we would see revenues in the arcade dip further down because people would be nervous about that kind of environment, but they aren't. At least in our facility, they're not nervous about it. But then on the flip side, you have people who are nervous about, like in the dining area, they're nervous about making sure we clean our menus between each use, which we do, but they ask about that. But yet they don't ask about the arcade game that's touched by 100 kids a day. So in the menu, maybe touched by one other person that day. So it's interesting to see people's, and a lot of it's driven by the media and what they see. And restaurants are in the media, and cleanliness of restaurants is, but the cleanliness of FECs really aren't in the media that much. So it's just stuff, it doesn't make sense. Some of the stuff that happens since this has gone on.
Actually, speaking about this weird behavior that we are seeing in the consumers, have you seen any major important changes in the consumer behavior since reopening?
So what we're seeing, and I don't know if it matches up in the industry, I've talked to a few people who kind of agree with me, is we aren't seeing families back out. I'll be completely transparent in that our daytime business on the weekdays has always been slow. I mean, everyone knows daytimes during the week are slow, but our daytimes on Saturdays and Sundays are usually filled with families having birthday parties, family parties, that kind of stuff. We're not seeing those people come back yet. They're starting to trickle back in, but they didn't come back as strong as we had hoped. We are seeing our rebound is mostly in our night business, our business that's at probably 7 p.m. and after, coming in for dinner, coming in to bowl with friends, not necessarily a family demographic with kids. So that's been a little discouraging because I'm used to getting to work and having 10 birthday parties on a Saturday or more. And so seeing, 1 to 2 is tough because that's just not what our industry is about. So, but we're seeing, I am lucky enough that we are seeing some birthdays come back. We're starting to see 2 and 3 a week, which to me is devastating numbers, but anything is better than nothing at this point.
Indeed it is. Speaking about events, you were saying that you used to have in the good days 10 birthday parties in a weekend. And it's no secret, events were a huge part of the revenue of our locations.
Yeah, so event-wise, yeah, we would do 20, we would do 10, 15 on Saturday, another 5, 6 on Sunday, 4 or 5 on Friday, a couple during the week. I mean, so you would see 30 or so birthday parties on a week. And we're not a big facility. I know there's people who are doing a lot more than that. So and literally it went to 0, which is, understandable. And then we started to see 1 and 2, and now we're starting to get up there to where we're, seeing 3 and 4. We are starting to see some small groups come back, some of the church camps and some of the, sports teams that are, they're into the season celebrations. So we're starting to see those come back. Those are obviously low ticket events. They're not high ticket events. Something that was encouraging this week is we're starting to get some calls on holiday parties. People aren't booking yet, but they're starting to get their feelers out about holiday parties. And I think that if we can get our holiday season back, that'll be big because we lost all of our summer, company picnic parties and all of our, summer events. So if we can get holiday parties, I think that'll be really important. So right now, kind of the marketing that we're focusing on is, hey, have your holiday party with us. And we have these private experiences. A lot of people, they know they can be with their group of, whatever, but they don't want to be with other people or they don't want to mix and mingle. So how can we create a private experience for them to where they have, private bowling lanes and they have private time on the VR area and they have a private game of laser tag. So we're doing a lot of stuff that we never would have offered our customers before. It's definitely changed.
Speaking about it percentage-wise, how much would you say that you are doing right now compared to like your pre-COVID estimations?
So we opened up in last November, and obviously we're shut down in March. So we were still on that growing. We were still growing. I mean, every week we were seeing revenue go up. Now, what we kind of did it because we can't compare year over year. We took the 4 weeks prior to the shutdown, and we actually knocked out the week before that because it started kind of slowing down. So we took like the 4 weeks before everything started slowing down, took that average, and we've been comparing our weeks to that average, to that 4 week average, since we don't really have a year over year. And we're currently at about 70 to 75% each week. It's fluctuating of that pre-COVID revenue. Now, unfortunately, though, we were still growing. So I think at this point, we would be at a higher number if we were in a normal circumstance. And so it's 70% pre-COVID, but I don't think it's 70% of what we normally will earn once this still's over. So it's tough. Now, with that being said, we are seeing that those groups are starting to come back, and that makes a huge impact. The groups make a huge impact on your week. It can add an extra 10 grand to your week. Now, we also are seeing that we're having a hard time breaching over that 75%. We'll hit 75%, and then they'll put the mask, when we got mask mandates, so we dropped down to 60. Went back up to 70% the next week. And then there's big media scare about COVID in the area. It drops down to 65. And then back up to 75. But we're having a hard time breaching that 75. And so it's every week, it's just kind of like what I shared a few minutes ago. We had a record Monday, and the next day had our worst Tuesday ever. There's no rhyme or reason for what's going on right now. And so that makes it hard also in operations for staffing. We like on that Monday, we weren't staffed. We weren't ready for a record Monday since we reopened. But then on Tuesday, we had so much staff coming around because we were so busy on Monday that they weren't doing anything. We had to send people home, but then we were afraid to send people home because of what happened on Monday. So it just makes it really hard for our operations team.
Let's try for a second to help the people that are watching us now and are planning to start an FEC. Can you please share with us and with them 3 do's and 3 don'ts for opening a new location?
Definitely start with the 3 do's: research, look at everything, go to as many FECs, go to as many conferences. The other do would be finance. Make sure you have your financials intact. Know what you want, know what you need. Get pre-qualified, if you could say that. Find your bankers, find how you're going to work with people. Know that the first person you go to is not going to help or not going to work with you. You're going to need multiple tries. And then the third would probably be operational plans. If you're starting up a new FEC, make sure you know what you're going to do operational-wise. Hire some people internally that maybe have experience in industry and that can execute what your vision is. I think that's important. Kind of 3 don'ts for a startup. Don't get discouraged, I think would be the number one thing. You're going to get knocked down hundreds of times, not 10 times, hundreds of times. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to feel like, gosh, how's this going to happen? Are we ever going to get this done? Just keep going. That's going to be probably the number one advice there. Another thing would be don't put your eggs in one basket. That old saying. Yeah. There's know that if you're looking at an attraction and for some reason it just cost-wise or logistically it's not going to work, there's other options. There's other manufacturers. Same thing with food. If you had to you really wanted this one product and it's just not working out, know that there's other things. That's why you have people. And then the third one, probably don't be discouraged to ask for help. People in the industry really want to help you. They want people to be successful. Same within your local area. You probably have, going back to that food example, if you have food in your facility, there's probably other restaurateurs in the area that are willing to help you because you're not direct competition to them. even though I have a restaurant in my facility, I don't see myself as direct competition to my buddy who owns a restaurant across town. Restaurants, it's not the same as an FEC across town. Yeah, we'd probably be direct competition, but a restaurant, no, because there's just so many of them. And also in our facilities, we strive to people come to eat with us as their number one choice, but usually it's number two. Their first choice is to come play and enjoy a good time, and their second choice is to eat with us while they're there. We obviously want to change that as an industry and get people to think of us as number one to go eat. So we're working on that.
This is a wrap. Thank you very much for taking part in this one with us today. I can only say that I hope to see you at IAPA, which, by the way, what is your take on IAPA? Is it going to happen this year or not?
Famous question. I think, for me, I served on the board of directors for IAPA a couple of years ago. I was on the board, and we, of course, when I was on the board, we didn't make any decisions like this. So I feel for those board members, thinking about them for these decisions that have to be made. And I know they're looking at making the best decision, not only for the attendees, but also the exhibitors and the health and safety of all the attendees. So, obviously inside, personally, I hope it happens just because I've been going there since I was literally 11 or 9 or 10 years old. I think I've been going to IAPA and I've not missed 1 year. So I hope it happens, but I do understand that we do need to make a decision that's the best for the vendors and for the attendees. So I do not envy our team back in Orlando that's making those decisions right now.
They have it the worst. Okay. Once again, thank you, sir. Thank you to everybody that's watching us. Don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel, and we'll keep on bringing you new content as well. Mr. Kyle, once again, big thanks. Hello to everybody back in Oklahoma, and hope to see you at kind of IAPA. We shall see.